how is everybody doing today? Oh my goodness, did you know? Did you know that it is time for TikTok to be in your revenue plan? I mean, hey, if you can make money, if you can monetize your dance moves or your bad singing or your favorite pet experiences, the list goes on, all the more power to you. But of course, every single marketer out there who does not have their own personal brand, who is not themselves a creator or an influencer, and actually has to, work for the man, driving revenue. And you're thinking to yourself, should I use TikTok? Is my audience there? I use Facebook, I use YouTube, maybe I use LinkedIn or Twitter, but I don't really do that TikTok thing. I'm not sure, I'm not convinced. If I were to go to my leadership team and say, hey, we should do TikTok, they would look at me like I have three heads. I'm not really feeling it. I'm a little confused. I'm here to tell you, and not just me, by the way, that it is now officially time for TikTok to be in your revenue plan. It's time for you to use it in your revenue plan. And if you're not convinced, then my job today is to convince you so you can convince your team, convince the people who hold the purse strings on your budget. And I'm telling you, you're going to come back a year from now and say, damn it, Prale, you were smart. You were right. It was time. So let's get that party going. All right. I'm joined by two really smart people here, far smarter than me. I myself have no knowledge or experience. All right. I am a TikTok neophyte. I am not on TikTok. I said TikTok. My God. I am not on TikTok as a creator, but I am on TikTok as a lurker. I consume it nonstop. My wife's favorite comment is, what are you listening to from across the room? Which is usually me watching a TikTok video nonstop. So the smart people in the room, smart person number one, Wave Wild, CEO of Wave Wild Media. She is a TikTok marketing and trends expert. She has helped over 500 clients grow their TikTok accounts through consulting and coaching with a community over virality approach. And she specializes in helping brands and business owners use the app as a social media marketing tool to generate more leads and more sales. She is known as the queen of trend alerts. She specializes in helping brands understand TikTok cultures and trends. I could go on, but with over 340,000 followers across her social media platforms, I think we can all agree she might know a thing or two, but not to be outdone. I love, I get these bios and they give me their bios and then I have editorial license, but I'm taking no license on this one. All right. Because Tim Davidson, my other expert, according to his own bio, is a semi-funny, kind of half-assing it, semi-funny B2B content creator, creating videos that infuse humor and education on LinkedIn, TikTok, and YouTube. He's also the senior director of marketing at Directive, a performance marketing agency for software companies. All right, so let's get into it. TikTok, it's short form video. And then there's everybody watching this going, I am not comfortable with short form video. And I am not convinced that it's for us just yet. So let me go with you, Wave, first. When they say that, how do you respond?
Well, I don't think you can deny the power of short form video across all of the social media channels right now. We're seeing it everywhere. It's not just TikTok. It's translated over to Instagram and Facebook. It's the YouTube Shorts. I think even Twitter's trying to make a TikTok feed as well. It is everywhere. So it is definitely time to jump on it. There's so much power in short form video, so many benefits to using it.
All right. So, Tim, when we were in the green room before we went live, you were cheering on Mr. Musk and Twitter and the possibility that he will bring back Vine. So that suggests to me that you might have a belief in short form video. What are your thoughts on this? And how do you respond to those people who express that doubt and that concern?
Well, Wave kind of mentioned it, but everyone's copied TikTok now. Instagram, Meta, like Facebook, YouTube Shorts. If Vine comes back, which actually TikTok's kind of like the emergent that came from Vine, right? But everything's copying it. So even if you're not on TikTok, you're missing out because all the platforms are going to that short form content anyway. So you're missing out on the opportunity to learn how to do it because everything's going that way because consumers love it. There's a reason TikTok's grown so much. People like it. If you're a consumer, you know how addictive it is. You'll waste like an hour and not even know. It's crazy.
That is the truth. I mean, that's the part that blows my mind. And my wife has only recently started getting into this. My wife is like the classic, not technical, okay, at all. She doesn't like change. She's still stuck. She still thinks Facebook's cool. So we'll go with that. So, and even her, she's like getting caught up in this stuff, and she's going, "Oh my God, I just blew an hour. How did that happen?" It is addictive. Our job here, folks, I told you, I'm being really blatant about this. We're going to educate you, but we're also going to try to persuade you and convince you that it's time and you need to do this. So let's just start talking about the benefits of using TikTok in your branding and revenue strategy. And before we talk about that, I'm just going to share some stats. All right. Some stats to set the stage. If you're a good marketer, you're going to like these stats. Our understanding, latest stats, is that 2/5, 39% roughly, of Gen Z respondents say that they are most likely to buy a product they learned about on a TikTok video. Now, for context, you say, Daryl, that's interesting, but hey, Gen Z. Gen Z is currently 40% of US consumers. 40%. 40% is really close to 50%. I just want to say that. I'm going to put that out there. So if you're thinking, Gen Z, you're old and time has moved on, and this is a force you have to reckon with. So there's that. There's a few more stats. 74% of TikTok users say that TikTok has inspired them to find out more about a product. Isn't that why we do marketing? To drive demand, to drive interest. 66% of TikTok users agree that TikTok has helped them decide what to buy. 67% of users agree that the platform inspired them to shop, even when they weren't looking to do so. 2 out of 3 were inspired to shop when they weren't looking to do so. So those are just some stats to lay the groundwork. Talk to me. I'll go back to you first, Tim. What are the benefits of TikTok you're seeing in branding and revenue strategies, whether it be with Directive and your clients or just your own efforts or your colleagues or your peers or whatever it might be?
Yeah, there's a lot, but I think it comes down to two, right? There's one where I mentioned it earlier. You can learn how to create short form content. And that learning also compounds, and you actually start learning like what people actually like, because TikTok's algorithm is very good at showing what actually people are engaging with and liking. So there's so many times that we'll like see something that pops off on TikTok, and we can take that and start using it on the website, YouTube, and you'll start to see those learnings go into LinkedIn and all that, because it just works. That content is working because people are engaging with it, and you can learn from that. The other part is your buyers most likely are there. If you don't know that they're there, you can find out pretty quickly. I mean, Daryl, you mentioned it. You're on TikTok. People wouldn't think, but you're consuming on TikTok.
I think Tim just called me old. That's what he just did. Did you guys all catch that? He called me old. Wow. I respect you for it, brother. It's okay.
But they're there. It's just they're not creating content so you don't know that they're there. Just like right. LinkedIn, where people are creating. You can actually see, all right, title. It's not as blatant in TikTok, but they're there, and you can figure it out pretty fast.
Well, I think the one thing you're hitting on is on social media, regardless of the platform. You know, I always use this completely 100% made up stat, but I think I'm kind of close. That 90% plus of people on any platform are lurkers. They don't engage, they don't post, they just consume. Right. And therefore we're going to stick with 90% because, of course, who's going to argue with me? So I 1,000% agree with you on that one, Tim. I love your idea, though, of using that as kind of a testing platform to see, I'm going to float something here and see what works, and then I'm going to redeploy it and repurpose it in different shapes or formats across different mediums, whether it be my website or different social media platforms. That's a brilliant usage. Talk to me, Wave. What are you seeing the benefits of using TikTok in your branding and revenue strategies to be like? If you had to sell this to a brand new prospect, what would you tell them?
Yeah, well, I think the main appeal of TikTok is that it is a discovery-based platform. So what that means is through the nature of the algorithm and the For You page, your content is shown to a lot of people, not just the people who follow you. It's shown to strangers, right? And that means, more visibility, more exposure. And I think that's the number one thing all brands and businesses want is more exposure, right? And you get that organically on TikTok through that For You page. I would say the other really big benefit right now, there's been a lot of talk about this in the news recently, is that it's like in a war with Google to be the video search engine for Gen Z, which I find super interesting and fascinating. There are now all kinds of strategies and ways that people are optimizing their videos for SEO purposes, because we know that people are using this search field in TikTok to look for specific products, to research brands and products. And when people are searching for that specific content, they are highly likely to buy. So super exciting.
So, okay, so let's talk about this. So we've talked about you can use it for testing. We've talked about video is phenomenal way of connecting with your target audience. We talked about it's a great way to found and to find or be found. We talked about it being a big ass search engine. We've talked about it being probably the fastest growing social media platform. We talked about the reach to Gen Z. Tim has made references to the fact that, well, Gen Z isn't the only maybe the dominant segment out there. There are old people on it too. We won't name names. And the whole thing is brilliant. This is what I love. But I want to talk about the reaction and the response of the C-suite. If I go to, let's follow some cliches. If I go to a chief financial officer, numbers, I'm stereotyping here, folks, dry, very logical. And I say, I want money to go attack TikTok to help drive our revenue. If I went to a CFO, if I went to a CEO, this person's 45 years old, 50 years old, what do we need to do to sell the legitimacy and to convince them that this is a good investment? One of the things that CFOs would like to hear, a CEO would like to hear, that a great stat, a good return on TikTok ad spend. So, what's the return on ad spend? A good return on TikTok ad spend for most businesses is 250%. You're not going to get that same return on some of those other platforms I've just mentioned. Tim, you're smiling nonstop. I got to go to you. I got to throw to you. Why are you smiling? What are you liking about what we're saying? Or you just want to tell me to shut up because you want to see something way better? Go.
No, I'm smiling because I've had to do this exact same thing. Talking to CFOs, CEOs, you can give them stats, but it's not your stats, right? They want to see their buyer.
Their stats. Yep.
Yeah, they want to see their own stuff because people just throw out stats all the time sometimes. What I did and what I've seen other people do is you need to validate it yourself. So if you don't have an account already, create your own personal account and start creating content for your buyer. If you do that enough, you'll catch, you'll have one video that does pretty well and you'll start to see the comments from CMOs, CEOs of the companies that you want to talk to. And TikTok actually gives you a lot of information. You can see who viewed your profile. You can see who's favoriting your videos, liking. So you can actually start matching those people that are in LinkedIn to TikTok. And that's those screenshots. It's going to get you a lot farther with your CEO and CFO because they can actually see them on the platform and engaging with the content that you essentially want to create for your company.
So there was one overriding common theme shared by everybody on this session right now about how to convince the people who are not convinced in your organization, who could be tough sells. And that was get them on the platform, get them playing, get them familiar with it, take away the fear, help them understand it. What's really interesting, there's so many great stats. Like I look at this one here. We just have a boatload of stats. My team is awesome. Jennifer Lopez. Now I know that's, she's a public figure. I get that. But just the power of the platform. Recently posted the same video on Twitter and TikTok. Okay. Twitter is kind of significant. The video on Twitter got 2 million views. That's off of 45 million followers. She has 45 million followers, 2 million views. Same video, TikTok, 71 million views off of 5 million followers. It's been said by both Wave and Tim, it's about not just, understanding the platform, it's about the reach. It's about getting in front of the target audience, right? Well, 71 million versus 2 million, we're using Jennifer Lopez, but the same factors apply for your own brand if you're doing the proper targeting. That's crazy. So with that, just a few more stats for you. We'll keep the conversation going. It's an interesting channel. It's a powerful channel. Just some quick things you may not know. The average session right now is almost 11 minutes, which is twice as much as what Pinterest gets, and they're number 2 at 5 minutes. TikTokers are 1.5 times more likely to instantly purchase something they discovered on the platform than other platform users. they are 1.4, so almost 1.5 times more likely to research products and brands that they find on the platform. I want to stop on that one for a second. So if I want to get in front of my target audience, I want them to research me. I want them to find me. Is that a common use? Like, for example, the other day I needed to get a haircut. My stylist was no longer available. What did I do? I went to Instagram and I said, who are the kick-ass, barbers in the area? Let me see their work. And I call one up and boom, off I went to. I use Instagram. Is TikTok similarly powerful when it comes to being found and researched by the audience?
Yeah, I love that you went and you looked for hairdressers on TikTok. I actually worked with a hairdresser, one of my clients. He's now so popular on TikTok, I cannot get an appointment. There's like a 3-month wait list. It's insane. He has people driving from an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours to get their hair done by him. It blows me away. But back to your question about the target audience, how do you reach your target audience? There are a few different ways that you can do that. Hashtags is one way to do that. And I would also say, using language in your video that speaks to your target audience. If you're trying to attract students, you can be like, hey, if you're a student, this is for you, right? You just speak to your audience. That's the best way. Hashtags, we also have a location tagging feature, although we don't have that much data on how it really pushes to a target audience.
Tim, what about you? What have you seen?
I always think about like me as a consumer. I mean, I'm looking around my room right now. There's so many things I've bought right off of TikTok. So many things I've saw on TikTok, went to Amazon and bought. There's so many things. The algorithm's really good and the reach from it. Like, we got a puppy a couple months ago. It just changed the stuff, and I bought so much stuff for the dog. The algorithm's really, really good at that stuff, and people buy so much from it. They just do. There's so many stats out there. I mean, the way I bought is just completely changed too. It's what happened to Instagram, and it's happening in TikTok. People are buying from there, and the return on ad spend stats speak for themselves. It's crazy.
So let me ask the
And if
question.
I can just
jump in, Wave, jump in, please.
If I can just add, there is a hashtag called TikTok made me buy it. I think it's got millions, probably close to billions of views by now. But people are sharing what they're buying on TikTok. Like, that's insane in itself. They're sharing what they're buying, which is amazing for brands having that content and having that, social proof.
That's a good point, because I get texts, Slacks from people that are like sending me TikToks all the time now.
Yeah, no, it's true. I get the same thing. Okay, what about on the B2B side? Is it as capable does it have as much potential, or is this mostly like a consumer phenomena?
No, it definitely has that potential. It's B2B, right? Though there's usually no direct buy, so it's a longer sales cycle, and a lot of times where I found the most success is the education of it. TikTok, I don't think, is going to be that first touch a lot of times. Or no, sorry, the last touch a lot of times. But it might be that first touch, that middle touch. You'll get people mentioning it, sharing your TikToks to people. So there is definitely a huge opportunity there. And the good thing is a lot of BB is not there, which is also bad, but it's a good thing for people that...
That's the opportunity.
No. Yeah, that's the massive opportunity, and it's actually a lot easier than you think to just create content, talking head style. You don't need this huge video production. You can just do talking head style and make a huge impact.
I love it. We've got a case study here that I wanted to share. It was we sourced this from an organization called Tough Agency. Now, I just want to put it out there, and then Tim and Wave, you can tell me if this is consistent with what you would see, above average, below average, whatever. So the Players is a marketing agency called Tough. We've mentioned that already. And they were comparing their return on their ad spend for their client, Sabio. And they wanted to grow the number of qualified applications for their online coding boot camps. Why I like this example is we're not selling a consumer product. We're not selling the greatest widget. We're selling online coding boot camp. So they ran ads on 8 different channels. They did it on Reddit, Google, Bing, Quora, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok and Snapchat. Now, what was the outcome after doing all of that? Their CPA on TikTok was 62% lower than the CPA on all the other paid acquisition channels. Their CPAs were consistently in the $11 to $16 range. Their applications for their boot camp from TikTok were slightly less qualified. This is their assessment compared to, say, a Facebook, which is kind of interesting. But the CPA was also 62% lower. So it still made sense, they deemed, for their to run the ads on the TikTok. In the end, the TikTok campaigns generated 448 total applications, 7 enrolled students at $12K each. That's $84,000 in total revenue, which was a return on ad spend of 12 times. 12 times. That's kind of good, I think, but math isn't my strength. Wave, when you listen to that story, does that sound consistent with what you see over and over again? Like this is like, yeah, they're all that way, or is that an exception?
Yeah, I think this is amazing. One thing I love about this case study is, people say to me, oh, but can you sell high ticket items on TikTok? And this is proof that you can. Yes, 7 sales might not sound like a lot, but that resulted in over $80,000 in revenue, which I think is mind blowing. So it's absolutely possible. You can sell at all different price points.
Tim, what was your reaction when you heard that case study?
It just makes sense. I mean, I've seen it. Just makes perfect sense because you see it. I mean, even it's just lower cost because, like we've mentioned, not a lot of B2Bs there. So it's just not a lot of advertisers there compared to the other platforms. They're getting there. They're just not there yet. So it's a marketplace. So costs are always gonna be lower, and the buyers are there, right? So there's just that mismatch, and it happened with Facebook a long time ago. There's always that mismatch where things are a lot cheaper and the buyers are there. So your CPAs can be very low and the quality is gonna be good.
All right, so everybody listening is getting frustrated because they're like, okay, I get it. Tim, it just makes sense. I hear you. Wave, I understand, but I'm still not convinced. Even if I can convince my C-level executives, the problem here is, how do I produce content that tells my story? Now, Wave, you've said, hey, it's authentic. I can just use my phone and away I go. But, I'm not comfortable. So what's the best way? Is it just to do it and get over our own fear? Or should we go to someone like you who can help us, who can hold our hands? Should we hire somebody to make the content for us? Do we outsource this to an agency? How do I get in front of my target audience? Do I need to partner with an influencer? I don't know where to start. So I want to tell my story. How do I do it? Wave, give me the answer.
Well, those are all good questions that you need to be asking, and you really need to make a decision, like who is going to run the account or make the content. You have to decide, do you have someone on your staff? Like if you look at an account like Duolingo, they have a social media team who are running that account, who are making the content. Or are you going to outsource it to an agency or to someone else? Or are you going to hire a team of influencers and UGC creators?
Tim, what's your advice? What's your experience?
Yeah, I think so. My number one would be to actually create it yourself in-house, whether it's the CEO, whether it's someone on your team that has, a little personality. And if you're not comfortable with it, after 5, 6, 7, you'll start to, like, your voice is going to change, is always going to sound the same. You're going to hate it at first, but you'll get over it. After you start seeing a little traction, you get some good feedback, you'll get over it. But say you don't want to do that. The other routes are also very good. You can hire someone to do it. There's tons of like equity firms that hire like a frat bro equity person and make like really funny content. There's all these brands that just hire like a social media manager to do it. And those are all great options too. You don't need to have someone internally. You can also hire like an influencer that does it for you. I would have different options because some are more expensive than others, but having those options is always a good way to do it. And even influencers, if you can get like customers that are comfortable on camera and they want to talk through something, like how you help them how you help them do this, that's always a good option too. There's so many creative ways It's just kind of testing different ways that are going to work best for your business.
All right. So I've heard you both give me all this advice. You've convinced me I need to be there. You've told me that the return on ad spend is there. You told me that it's a great way to complement my existing investments. You told me I just need to use it. You told me to just, follow Nike and just do it and play. I've got it. I'm convinced. So now I want to know how to master it. I want to build a presence that impacts my business outcomes. So what are the best practices? Do I use captions or not? Do I use hot audio or not? Do I get audio from a third party? Do I use the audio on the platform? Is there a certain pace I should have? We talked about hashtags already. Should I buy followers? Should I not buy followers? I don't know where to start.
That is one of the most important right there, is that consistency, especially early on, because the algorithm starts to learn, like, all right, who's your audience, who they're going to start pushing into over time. To be honest, though, you just got to start and just start doing it, because that's how you learn, right? That consistency actually allows you to learn whether it's talking head that works well. Is it edutainment? Is it some sort of like animation style? Is it all of them? Is it just like someone that has a good personality? All those things you're going to learn over time, and maybe it's a mix of all. But that consistency is so important. But also just like finding out where the content, like all the content is. It's everywhere. You go on LinkedIn, you find those influencers that are the influencers of your buyers. Go in their comment section. There's so many questions, and you can answer from there. There's so many ideas in there. Let's talk to your sales team. So many questions that they hear. You can start creating content around that, and you'll start learning over time.
All right. So, folks, you got some great advice there. Just some quick facts as you're trying to contemplate your content. You can see here on the slide some tips and tricks, right? So what do we know? We know that if you open with a powerful emotion, that will create like surprise, whatever. That's going to create 1.7 times lift. If you shoot vertically, you're going to have 25% higher 6-second watch through rates. 80% of TikTok users said that sound is essential on the platform. It really is. Sound is a make or break thing. Finally, fast-paced tracks that play at 120 more beats per minute have the highest view through rate. So if you're a slow talker who takes a while to get to your point, you may want to practice, or TikTok's not for you. That was painful, wasn't it? That was painful for me. So there we go. All right, let's carry on. Before I go, I would be remiss if I didn't talk a little bit about the algorithm. Is there an algorithm we need to game? Because it seems in every platform, there's an algorithm we need to game. Do I focus on that, or is it just good content always rises to the top? Tim, what's your thoughts?
I would say the content rises to the top, because the algorithm is just really good. I mean, it's interesting to see. You'll see some of these creators, they have like big hit videos, and they have like 200, which in comparison, 200 to like a million, right? That's because the algorithm is really good. Your content's good, they'll give it to the right people.
All right, Wade, what do you think? What's your experience?
Absolutely. I always say content first, because we know 100% that your video will get more views if people are watching it, liking, sharing, commenting, saving. It's all based on user interactions. So if your content speaks to someone and they resonate with it, they're engaging with it, it's going to get more views. So content first, always think about the message that you are communicating, because a lot of people do get hung up on the strategies. I see this all the time. They're like asking me what time to post, what hashtags to use, what trending sound to do. And I always say, focus on what the message is first, right? Nobody goes viral for using hashtag FYP or for using a certain sound, right? It is always about the content.
All right. So there we go. So let's kind of recap where we began. We open up by saying it's time for TikTok to be in your revenue plan. That's what we say, guys, there's no more delays. And then we started to teach you what were some of the benefits. So you want to do. It's all about reach. We talked about the Gen Z specifically, but just it can really short form video is where it's at. We talked about how you need then to sell it to your C-suite and how to approach that. We talked about how it actually is a phenomenal vehicle, and the return on ad spend on TikTok its ability to reach your target audience is dramatically better than most of the other platforms out there. We gave you a case study as one example. Our experts said that that was very common and they're seeing it over and over again. We talked about how you can overcome your fear and actually make content, and the easiest ways to start to using the tool, get familiar with it. You can actually hire somebody, you can do it yourself, but in the end, it's all about content. So it really comes down to knowing your ideal customer profile and your personas and speaking to them. We talked about building a brand presence, and the key word there, I think, is building. You want to build it. You're not going to be a TikTok star out of the gate. You need to build. Don't worry about gaming the algorithm. Instead, what you should do is optimize your content to be engaging and to reach. But at the end of the day, people always say, okay, Daryl, you've got me on all of those points. You've addressed it, but I don't know if I can afford it. I just don't know if I can afford it. So we've given you some examples here of different costs that you may need to factor. And when you look at the cost, whether it be a social media management platform, so you can actually create, schedule, and auto-publish your content. You can actually monitor all the conversations that take place in the content you publish so you don't miss anything. Because I've heard Wave and Tim talk at length about where it's really at is in the comments. That's where you learn and that's where you engage, right? So you need to be responsive. A social media platform can be like, it can be as little as $80 a month. I would be remiss if I didn't say Agorapulse can do that for you, but there you go. You can spend that. You can get editing software. It doesn't have to be a lot. You don't need to be doing Adobe Premiere. There's so many different tools out there that are phenomenal. We use a tool called Descript all the time, but there's lots of tools out there. You can right on your phone, whatever you want to. So you can do, you can engage influencers. You can look at trend trackers so you understand what to go at, but hashtags, as we talked about, use hashtags over and over again. That cost is free. So in the big picture here, the expense is not dramatic. Now, if you want to, I could say, well, you can add the cost of your phone there, but I'm pretty sure that's already a sunk cost, so I wouldn't do that. Is there any other expense that I've missed here? I mean, we talk about the authenticity, so it's not like this is a production. I don't need to be sitting in a room that's green screened full of studio level lighting and Hollywood style microphones in front of my face. This is truly raw, unvarnished, the real deal. What you're seeing is what you're getting, and that's the appeal. What about you, Tim? When you make your content, are you investing a lot in your setup and your gear to do that, or are you a little more low rent?
Yeah, so overall it's still low rent. When I started, it was just literally just a phone. You can go on Amazon and get a $20 tripod and a light for $15. Your phones are really good. I even bought a fancy camera. I still use the phone. I like the process better.
Really?
So it's really low rent. Now I do have lights and stuff, and there's like a blue light. Like I do have more stuff now, but I don't need all that stuff. I just evolved to get to that stuff that I like it now. But I don't need all of it. You don't need any of it. You can, like you said, natural light. Your phone, natural light, and you're good. That's how you should start. You should be really bootstrapped to start so you can prove it out and then start getting more.
And I think that's the key there. Like both of you are saying the same thing. Both of you started very lean, right? Using your phone, getting, places where there's good lighting, natural lighting, and you're cognizant of that, and away you go. And then as you're having success and seeing a return on your investment, whether it be time or reach or ad spend, then you can grow and improve upon it, which, at that point, the business case is pretty straightforward. Let's talk about paid ads, TikTok paid ads. Either one of you got a lot of experience in the paid ad side? Like, either one of you consider yourself a TikTok paid ad expert?
No.
Wave, Tim, what are your thoughts on paid ad? Are you paid ad experts or not? I'll go to you first, Wave.
Yeah, well, I'm more on the organic side of the expertise. However, I'm in the process of learning TikTok ads. I'm playing around with it for a few clients. I think it is definitely something to explore. We've already seen in the case studies how beneficial it is. The cost is much lower. We also know that TikTok, people are flocking from Facebook and Google ads who are tired of the costs there and the less reach that they're getting and coming to TikTok. So it's definitely a big part of the app that's growing and definitely something to explore.
What about you, Tim? Much experience on the ad side?
Not an expert by any means. We're doing some testing, especially in my world. The biggest problem is just from the B2B side is just the targeting is not as good as some of the other platforms. But I will say from like the ad side, the ads that perform the best are not overproduced. They're from the phone. It's very interesting. They're very, even some of them are talking head, or it's just like you're stitching another TikTok, or you're doing, a lot of them are just not overproduced. So it's very interesting to see the content that's working well on the ads.
It's interesting. So what I love about those two really honest answers, both of them saying it's early, we're still figuring it out. Takeaway from that is A, you're not alone. The second takeaway from that is B, you're not too late to get in the game. All right, so this is dynamite. So get in. And what we've heard over and over again from both Tim and Wave is the idea that you want to get in and you want to test, see what works, see what doesn't work, make more of the stuff that works and less of the stuff that doesn't work. Learn from the others, what's getting engaged in, what's not. Tim talked earlier on about how he's using his findings there to go to other platforms or to his website. And then out of the gate, he knows he's got a winning strategy. On the ad side, it's something you can explore when you're ready. There are two different approaches to ads on TikTok. One is called in-feed and the other is managed, all right? So the in-feed ads are ads that you make yourself. There's different kinds. So that could include an image ad. So just think of that like a billboard. It could be a video ad, like a TV commercial, and Spark ads, which boost the content that you already have. So it just shows up to more people's feeds. Managed ads, that's using Pangle ads. Pangle ads is a TikTok ad network and the carousel ads. And that's only available just through TikTok's audience network and their newsfeed apps. So if you want to get to that point, you can actually reach out to their brand managers at TikTok and they'll guide you through it. But what's interesting about the ads, when you're ready for it, some interesting facts here. 72% of audiences find the ads to be inspiring. So that's the first part. So you got to have a good ad, obviously. 67% report that TikTok ads also grab their attention, which is 10% higher than other platforms. So you're seeing a recurring theme here. This platform, like you saw with the Jennifer Lopez example, engages more than all the other platforms. It is dynamic that way. So if you're going to do the advertising and you're going to do the engagement and you're going to budget for it, and you convince the people to do it, and you're going to make it part of your marketing mix, what do you need to do? You need to track your progress with data. Now, we've talked about return on ad spend. That's one piece of data, all right? But there's other data you can get. There's data within the app itself. There's data from third-party analytics tools, but you still need to measure the data. Wave, I'm curious. Do you spend any time measuring the data, or do you let just the engagement levels speak for themselves and move on? Tim, how about you? Are you a data guy?
Yeah, I look. I love me some data. Sometimes you just gotta use common sense, but I do love me some data, especially. And I'm glad they added the retention graph on the videos. I use that so much because there's sometimes I'll take the same video and just change up the first 2 seconds. And it's crazy to see the performance on one than the other just because that first 2 seconds.
That's amazing. All right. It's all about metrics, folks. At the end of the day, it's all about metrics. Don't forget to do that. We've got a gift for everybody. If you've made it this far, we've got a phenomenal ebook. It is the definitive guide to TikTok. You can check it out there on the link. Do not be shy. Grab it. The other thing you're going to want to get is the modern day CMO's role in innovation in agility. Get that one. The two are a 1-2 punch for what you need. Folks, we open up by saying it's time for TikTok to be in your revenue plan. And we end up going through every single objection you could possibly throw at us. And we end by saying we have addressed them and you have no more excuses. Folks, it's time. My name is Daryl Prale. That's Wave. That's Tim. We're Agorapods. We hope you enjoyed today's conversation on #CMO School. We will see you soon. Take care. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.